Miguel Ramos was zipping up his worn backpack when the scanner beeped twice. Sharp, mechanical, final. He froze. Around him, the morning shift was flooding in, engineers in pressed shirts, admin assistants balancing coffee cups, security guards switching posts. All of them looked. All of them stopped. "Sir, step aside, please." The guard's voice wasn't unkind, but it was loud enough to make heads turn. Miguel moved to the side of the lobby, his face already burning. He'd worked nights at Hart Industries for 3 years. He knew every janitor's closet, every burned-out bulb, every shadow in the building. He knew the quiet. But mornings were different. Mornings belonged to people who didn't know his name. The guard waved over his supervisor, a younger man with a tight jaw and a scanner in his hand. "Bags flagged. Need to do a manual check." Miguel nodded. His throat felt dry. "Sure, go ahead." But before the guard could unzip it, a voice cut through the lobby like glass. "What's the holdup?" Brielle Hart stepped off the elevator in a charcoal suit, her heels clicking across the tile. She was 32, sharp-eyed, and known throughout the company as the woman who turned around 3 failing divisions in 2 years. She was also the granddaughter of Arthur Hart, the man who built the company from nothing. People said she had his drive. Some said she had his coldness, too. "Ma'am, just a routine check," the supervisor said quickly. Scanner picked up something unusual. Brielle's eyes moved to Miguel. He looked down. "Open it," she said. The supervisor unzipped the bag and pulled out the contents one by one. A thermos, a folded sweater, a sandwich wrapped in foil, a small bundle of drawings held together with a rubber band, and then, carefully, a black and music box no bigger than his palm. The paint was scorched away in places, the edges warped from heat. Someone in the crowd snickered. Miguel heard it, felt it. "What is that?" Brielle asked, her tone flat. "It's personal," Miguel said quietly. "It looks like junk," she said. "Why are you bringing this into a secure building?" Miguel's hands tightened into fists at his sides. He wanted to explain. He wanted to tell her that his daughter had drawn those pictures for him, that the music box had belonged to his late wife, and even though it didn't play anymore, he carried it because it was all he had left of her voice humming along to the tune. But the words didn't come. Not here. Not in front of all these people. "Security risk protocols exist for a reason," Brielle continued, her voice cutting through his silence. "We can't have unidentified items moving through this building, especially not from contract staff." Miguel looked up then. Contract staff. That's what he was to her. Invisible until he wasn't. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean." "You're terminated. Effective immediately." She turned to the supervisor. "Process him out. And update the scanner sensitivity. I don't want this happening again." The lobby was silent. Miguel felt the stares, felt the weight of his daughter's drawings in the guard hands. He opened his mouth to say something, anything, but a voice from behind him spoke first. "Brielle." The voice was old, steady, familiar in a way that made the entire room shift. Arthur Hart stepped out of the private elevator, leaning slightly on a cane. He was 86, white-haired, with eyes that still carried the sharpness of a man who had built empires. He walked slowly toward the scene, his gaze moving from Brielle to Miguel to the items spread out on the security desk. And then he stopped, his eyes locked on the music box. "Where did you get that?" Arthur's voice was barely above a whisper. Miguel looked at him, confused. It was my wife's." Arthur stepped closer, his hand trembling slightly as he reached out. He didn't touch it. He just stared. "The factory fire," he said softly. 17 years ago. The one on the South Line." Brielle frowned. "Grandfather, what are you talking about?" Arthur's eyes never left Miguel. "There was an explosion, a gas line rupture. We lost 2 workers that day. My grandson, your brother, Brielle, he was interning that summer. He was trapped in the control room." His voice cracked. "Someone got him out. A contractor. Young man. No badge. No name in the system. He pulled him through the smoke. Burned his hands doing it. By the time the paramedics arrived, he was gone." Miguel's chest tightened. He remembered the heat. The screaming metal. The kid, who couldn't have been more than 16, choking on smoke, his eyes wide with terror. Miguel had been installing electrical panels that week. No training for emergencies, no gear, just instinct. He grabbed the kid, shoved him toward the exit, and when the secondary explosion blew out the east wall, he'd run. He didn't stay, didn't wait. He had a daughter at home and no health insurance. He couldn't afford to be a hero. Arthur looked at him now, tears in his eyes. That was you. Miguel didn't answer. He didn't need to. Brielle's face had gone pale. Grandfather, are you sure? Arthur nodded. I never forgot. We searched for him. For months. I wanted to thank him. Too. He trailed off, his hand finally resting on the music box. This was on the floor, near the exit. I kept it. I thought maybe one day. He looked at Miguel. I thought maybe one day I'd find him. The lobby was silent. Brielle turned to Miguel, and for the first time, he saw something other than cold efficiency in her eyes. Shame, horror, regret. I'm sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't know. I didn't. You didn't ask, Miguel said quietly. She flinched. Arthur placed a hand on her shoulder. Fix this. Brielle nodded. She stepped forward, her voice steadier now. Mr. Ramos, I was wrong. Completely wrong. I want to offer you a position. Head of risk prevention. Full benefits. Full authority. If you'll take it. Miguel stared at her. I'm a janitor. You're someone who sees what others miss, Arthur said. That's what we need. 3 weeks later, Miguel walked the facility with a clipboard and a team of engineers who were twice his age and half as observant. He pointed out frayed cables behind machines no one had checked in years. He noticed ventilation ducts that hadn't been cleaned since installation. He flagged a support beam with hairline fractures that, according to the structural team, would have collapsed within 6 months. The engineers stopped rolling their eyes. They started listening. Over the next year, Miguel became a fixture at Hart Industries, not invisible anymore, but respected. He trained new hires. He rewrote safety protocols. He made people feel seen. And when his daughter visited the office one afternoon, clutching a new set of drawings, employees smiled and waved. She wasn't an interruption. She was part of the story now. At the annual Hart Industries Summit, Brielle stood at the podium in front of 500 employees and partners. Behind her, a glass case had been installed in the main lobby. Inside it, restored and polished, was the music box. Beside it, a plaque, in memory of unseen heroes, in gratitude for second chances. Brielle's voice was steady, but her eyes were bright. This company was built on innovation, on precision, on results. But this year, I learned something I should have known all along. The greatest asset we have isn't technology. It's people. People like Miguel Ramos, who risked everything for a stranger and asked for nothing in return. The room erupted in applause. Miguel stood in the back, his daughter beside him, her hand in his. Brielle smiled. And I'm told Miguel's daughter has something to share. His daughter walked to front, shy but determined, and held up a drawing. It showed a man, her father, reaching through flames, guiding a group of people toward the light. At the top, in careful letters, she had written, "Heroes don't need capes. They just need to care." The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Then everyone. Miguel wiped his eyes. Arthur stood beside Brielle, his hand on her shoulder, and mouthed 2 words across the room. "Thank you." Miguel nodded. Because some stories don't end. They just finally get told.